What this training will cover for today, we'll just on the welcome notes, and we're going to work you through just the concepts of data analysis and some of the times and scenarios you may meet in the future. Then we'll give you a live demo, a live practical sections where you get to see firsthand how to work through a data process. Then we'll walk you through some career paths of a data analyst and but most likely definitely show you some of the applications of the knowledge you'll be acquiring. Then also get to answer some of your questions and also walk you through any difficulties you might have. All right, in trying to fine-tune yourself or in trying to develop yourself. All right, so that is basically what we're going to be covering in this training.
Cosenge was founded in 2020, and the full name is Cosenge Limited, and we deliver innovative solutions across online education, technology consulting, property investment engineering, and professional photography. So we have 5 directors, and we partner with over 100 organizations in the UK and across the world. So in Cosenge, if you go to our website, you will see links to Cosenge Training Academy, where you will see a lot of certified training courses we offer. You see Cosenge Tech Consult, where we do other businesses like mobile app development, digital solutions, tailored to your business and your individual needs. So we have Cosenge Properties, that's real estate. We have engineering and biogas consulting. So we encourage every one of us to visit our website to explore the services we provide. Next slide, please. Yeah, if you go to Google, we don't believe in hearsay. Go to Google, see what people are saying about Cosenge. We've trained hundreds of people across the world. And many of our trainees have gotten well-paying jobs. One just landed a job where she's paid up to £64,000 per annum. We have testimonials from everywhere, people that have done our training that are doing well in different areas of life. And we have companies sending people to Cosenge to train, including the certifying organization in the UK. CPD certifier in UK. I send those people to come and train with Cosenge because of the kind of work we do that speaks for itself. So we have 3 packages we deliver. We have the 6-week package, which is just for people in Nigeria. That package was developed to help the situation of things in Nigeria because of the terrible economic situation. For you to take part in that 6 weeks, you must be resident in Nigeria, and you must provide evidence that you live in Nigeria. So that package, the first package, 6 weeks at 110,000 Naira, is just for Nigerians. If you scan the QR code, you see all the details there. We also have another package, that's a 12-week package for £380 only. That's for anybody that's not living in Nigeria. Even if you are a Nigerian living anywhere in the world, we have to do the 12 weeks package. If you want to study within the cohort of people of that are about 4 to 10 or 4 to 15 in number, that's always the maximum, and it's a very good package that covers everything we deliver, but just within a group. Usually the members of the group meet to discuss the time that is suitable for everyone. So it's not a matter of one person making a decision. It's always a group agreement of time that suits everyone when they will meet to study. Then we also have the 12 weeks package. That week package, that one is for people that prefer one-to-one training. That is a flex kind of training that's adapted to fit your schedule. No matter what your work pattern is, no matter how tight your schedule is, we can work around it, and you will have one tutor that will follow you through. You tell them your availability when you're not at work. That's the only time we'll have the lessons to suit you, exclusively for you. And because of the flexi nature, it's £1,200 only to cover everything, to move you from novice to an expert in data analytics. And in all these trainings, you'll be certified from the UK certifier, that's CPD England, that is recognized around the world. That's the same certificate people that have trained with us have used to secure jobs, big paying jobs in different parts of the world. Can we go to the next slide, please? Benefits for enrolling with COSENG. CPD certification, of course, we are not the people that give it. It's CPD England that we award it. We only train you and confirm that you qualify to be certified. We pass it on to the UK government. They'll certify you, okay? Then we have data analyst portfolio. We help you develop your own individual professional portfolio, because when we go for interviews, they will ask to see your portfolio. We help you to do that. We guide you through that. We provide ongoing mentorship support. Even after your training, we still keep on supporting you in any area you need our support. Even when you're applying for a job, if you come back to us, we will support. Even when you get a job and you're going for interview, you can come back to us, we will guide you. Even when you're in the job and you get stuck, come back to COSENG. We're always there to lend a help. So we also offer that flexibility around what you need and make sure we meet your need. Even if you didn't know how to open your computer, we'll guide you from that stage until you become an expert. Then you will do a live project, a real-time project from an industry that will help you to know what industries require from you and work on real-life data that will enable you to have the real clue and idea of what it is like to work as a data analyst.
So let's get into a bit of a theoretical section of what we'll be looking at today. So here we'll be looking at practically what data analysis is all about. So data analysis is the process of collecting, cleaning, examining, and presenting data to answer questions and support better decision. All right. So a good analyst does not begin with a child. A good analyst begins with a question. So just take, for example, when you are making comparisons in the price of bread and the quality of those bread, you're already making an analysis. So first of all, for you to be able to make that comparison, you must have information. You have collected those brands of breads and their prices, and you must have weighed the different quality, maybe based on tastes, based on preference, how soft it is, how hard it is. So that already they have collected information. So that information you've collected, you now have to process it. All right. So part of the process is by cleaning the information. All right. If, for example, maybe someone made a mistake, instead of where you're supposed to label Agege bread, he went and labeled maybe a particular brand of bread instead of the actual popular, regular, locally Agege bread, then you have to make that correction, because if you go ahead and end up going to buy a bread, you thought it's Agege bread, and it's not Agege bread, you make a mistake, and that will be an error. And definitely you have spent your money unwisely and you begin to regret. So you see, it is always good to clean, have a proper labeled, proper cleaned information to help you make informed decisions. So when you have that information collected and you check there is no error, this information is clean, this information is well aligned, then it can help you to go ahead and analyze that information. So the process of analysis is now where you begin to weigh the quality, the price difference, and how those prices affect your choice of buying. Then you can now go ahead and present it maybe to your husband or your children and say, well, looking at the information I've gotten about all this bread, after going through the process, I've come to a conclusion that we'll continue eating Agege bread. It is better, it's healthy, and it is more affordable. Looking at our population, we are 10 in the house. If I buy 2 Agege bread, we can finish it, and we might spend only 500 naira to buy it. But if I have to go and buy brands, we might end up spending 10,000 naira, and we will still not be satisfied. And you have helped, that information have helped you to come up with this decision, and you're now presenting it to your family. And they can now decide that, yes, actually, Daddy, we love Agege bread. Please get us more, and stuff like that. So you see, without the information, you might not be able to make the decision. So part of the fundamentals of being a good data analyst is being able to collect that information and go through the process of trying to clean that and help you to make informed decision. So just like you do in your home, when you want to buy goods in your house, you make analysis, you write down, prices, write down what is not available, and you now check, okay, for this month, I might decide to buy just rice and leave beans. Next month to buy beans and leave rice, and etc. At the end of the day, you might decide to keep some change that you used to go and ball over the weekend. For those of us that do the weekend hangouts. So you see, those decisions boils down to the information you have. So if you don't have the information, you will not be able to make those decisions. All right. So can we move to the next slide, please? All right, so we have basic 4 type of analysis, or let's say, yes, let's say we have basically 4 types of analysis, and we'll be looking at them one at a time, and how we can walk through the process of these 4 type of analysis. So we have what we call the descriptive, and the descriptive is basically telling us what happened. All right, we have different form of data. Okay, let me put it that way. So the descriptive is basically telling us what happened. All right, and what happened in essence is just like, okay, when you collect that information, now what happens with that information, or what happened that led to why you needed that information? All right, because you don't really just go ahead and start collecting information without having a purpose. Okay, so we want to look at maybe total sales of last month, and maybe what happened and how we got these sales, or how you want to improve that sales, or maybe you have maybe you lost profit and you want to get how. So this is a process, and it's just a descriptive process. All right, so you are looking at the information and trying to describe, okay, look at what happened and how am I going to improve on this? How am I going to, adjust to fit and make more profits, if at all you've made losses, and vice versa. So that is a descriptive situation based on the information you got. All right, and you now have what we call the diagnostic section. All right, which is like, why did it happen? So you've seen what happened, that maybe you didn't make profit last time. So you now ask yourself, why did it happen? Why didn't I make profits? Okay, if you expected to make sales of 1,000, I only made sales of 100. Okay, you can now look into that and say, okay, the sales dropped, but why did the sales drop? Maybe you didn't market it well, you didn't, or you had too much expectations, and you didn't really have a good projection. That means maybe the information you have wasn't properly tailored for that particular business. So you see why it's always good to have a proper information, and you can't get that information if you don't have someone that can collect that information. And to know what to collect is understanding the situation and knowing how to go about it. So you now have to find out what did happen that the sales didn't go well, and that led to what happened that we didn't make profit last time. Then you now go to what we call the predictive. So what is likely to happen with this current situation? All right. So looking at the fact that we didn't make sales, and basically we ended up maybe due to lack of proper marketing. So what do we now project? How do we improve the sales? How do we make the sales better? How do we now improve, instead of from this 100, even if we don't get to 1,000, let's hit 500, let's hit, improve, and you might even project to 1 million from 1,000. All right, so all that comes into the predictive section. Then after that, we will now look at the prescriptive. What should we do next, in terms of how to improve the whole situation. All right, you can now look at the whole thing and say, okay, so what do we do next after all that has happened, or what we've discovered from what happened, why did it happen, and what is likely to happen? Now, with all that projection, you can now say, okay, so how do we now improve this, and what do we do next to make sure that this situation doesn't happen again? All right, so let's boils down to the information you have, how you now manage the information, and what you now do to understand what happened during the process of your sales last time, talking to the sales team, talking to the marketing team. And most likely, if it has to do with even production, you can go ahead and review your production scale. Maybe in the course of production, there's a particular ingredients that people tend to love, for a particular flavor people tend to enjoy more. If you have to now incorporate that into your sales to help you improve the product, so that will help you to increase sales. So you see, this helps you now to make a better projection for the future. All right, can we go to the next slide, please? So let's look at how organizations use data analysis. We have retail store, or this basically just also to tell us organizations that you can apply data analysis intelligence to, and we have quite a whole number of them. Data analysis can be applied to any sector, at all, any sector, whether it be it agriculture, education, government, all the sectors you can think of. In fact, like I mentioned, starting from your home for a start, you can see that on a daily basis, even decision you make already, you started making analysis. So in the retail, you can, just like I mentioned, in terms of product production, looking at sales and how you can improve sales. So in the retail business, you can also look at that. In healthcare, in terms of how to improve healthcare, in terms of how to improve patients and doctors' interaction, in terms of how to improve how the nurses also behavior and how they interact and how the drugs the patients are taking, if it's actually working, if it's not working. You could see that if you break it down, you will realize that you require an analyst in every sector, even in terms of the kind of tests you run and even the effects of those tests and how those test results affect the patient's health based on the result of the finding of those tests and what to do next after doing those tests. So you realize that there's a whole lot of things to analyze within the healthcare sector. And to help the patient get better, remember, all the process you are working on, your analysis, is to improve, to get and make informed decision. Because if you don't have the data, you cannot be able to make a decision. Somebody can just easily come and give you a projection. The healthcare sector in Nigeria is not doing well without actually having data. It might shock you that if you do a proper analysis, you might be shocked to find out that the health sector in Nigeria might actually be doing better than what has been projected, but because they've not done proper analysis. So, monitor and check the system to find out, okay, fine. On the average, how many people go to hospital and come back healthy, or do they all go to the hospital and die? Because I'm sure when I was a kid, I remember some people mentioning that if you go to some hospital, you are not likely going to come back alive, And in most cases, the only condition that people take to that hospital are conditions that other hospitals will definitely reject, and they expect a miracle to happen just because it was called a hospital, without really understanding what's involved in the general health system. So that is just giving you, if you have the proper information and you know what is expected, you now know how to go about it. So also in our educational sector, you have our students, so our kids go to school on a daily basis. Most of us are going back to school, trying to improve ourselves. So if you look at that situation, you realize that there's a whole lot of things to analyze: the performance of the schools, the performance of the teacher, how the students respond to the teachers, and how the students respond even in terms of exam. If they are doing well, if they are not doing well, why are they not doing well? Is it because the teachers are not teaching them properly? Is it that the students don't come to class? Or is it that they come to class, but they don't pay attention? Or is it that they don't have enough learning materials to study? There is a whole lot of things to analyze. So you can see that that application covers a whole lot of areas in the educational sector. Looking at marketing, you can see that even in the marketing section, just like in the retail, social media algorithms, you need to check how well you reach, how many audience, which region do you cover, and stuff like that. If you don't have proper data and information and how to tailor your ads to suit all those regions and reach those markets, you're definitely not going to make sales in those markets. Because for example, in fact, let us even use Nigeria. The kind of adverts you will do in the north that might most likely sell, I can guarantee you that if you bring those same adverts in the east or take it to the south, you might end up not making sales, because what the north might like or what they might find appealing might not really work for those in the south and for those in the east. So just within a country, you can see they already have quite the diverse markets already. So you can now apply that to different regions of the country, going to different continents, people with different cultural backgrounds. So if you want to do marketing, you need proper information to have proper, matrix, so you'll be able to work, for the different region and be able to reach more audience and tailor your products to those markets so that those people will find it appealing and interesting enough to actually, buy those products. All right. Now, looking at the charity sector, like we mentioned, there is no limit to the knowledge or applying the data analysis. So looking at charity, you might want to look at your reach outs and how many people, how many lives you've touched, how many lives you've improved. And you also want to do follow up. For example, you will not say you have actually touched a life, when at the end of the day, the person that you believed to have helped at the charity ended up back on the streets, and you're trying to take the person out of the streets. So you need to check what is wrong, what is not happening. Is it that the support you give didn't actually reach the person, or maybe the person misused it? And why did the person misuse it? Was it not enough, or is it that they don't have a proper planning to help that person actually develop themselves? So you could see these are part of the things that you could now analyze and go through this process to help the situation and make sure you get that person up to speed and help that person to actually improve themselves. All right. Looking at the governments, we all know what the government is all around the world and what it looks like. You can see that you can apply that even in terms of analyzing each government policies and how those policies are being implemented, and to even check funding and see how those funding are being disbursed, and check on the project they're doing and make sure that those projects are actually being executed. So you could see that the knowledge can be applied everywhere. There is no limits to where your knowledge can be applied. All right. Next slide, please. All right, so let's look at the data analysis process. I just like what we mentioned earlier, it's one of the first things starts with asking, all right, what problem are we trying to solve? You need to understand the situation. You need to understand the process. For example, when you want to restock your house, you first of all ask, what and what do I need? All right, then you now collect the information about that particular product and check which one is best, which one is more affordable, and decide which one you are going to buy. Then you now have to make sure that the information is properly cleaned, that the information is accurate, that the information is correct, that the information is actually representing the question you ask. All right. You will not be asking, for example, let's say you want to make a choice between two brands of cars, and they now switch the information about the cars. Definitely, if you want to use that, you end up making a wrong decision and maybe buying the wrong car. All right, because if someone decides to use the information based maybe the car that was advertised was let's just say for random, they marketed a Volvo C60, which is supposed to be a coupe, a convertible coupe, and you now like the product and be like, oh man, this car will fit me as a young boss, and you ended up going to check out the car, and you realize that is a Toyota Yaris that they are now showing you. So you can see that the information does not match the product, and that is already an error. So that is why data cleaning is important. You need to make sure the data is clean and information is accurate, so it should help you to make proper and informed decision. Before you now go to analyze, then visualize it. Visualizing it is now where you now check and see, okay, with what I have, I want to create a chart. Most people end up seeing the charts, but not knowing the process behind the charts. Before you have those charts, those beautiful charts, those interactive charts where you see the pie charts, you see the bar charts, you see the graph, you see the geometry and all that. So many things have gone behind that before you now see that chart, that visualization that looks appealing with different color and different dots and setup. So these are part of the processes you have to go through. We have to collect information, make sure the information has the right question, make sure the information tailored to what is being asked. You now go ahead and analyze and then visualize. And after that, you now communicate your findings. Okay, I have done this, I have seen this, I can visualize this. Let me now show you. This is what I've discovered. Out of 10 patients that come to a particular hospital, 9 of them come back alive. It shows that this hospital is doing well. We can now review what these doctors are doing, recommend these doctors. Other doctors will come and learn from them. Let us know how to improve our health sector, because so far these doctors have shown consistency. They've shown dedication. They've shown that, yes, anybody, any kind of sickness that you bring to them, they can handle it. All right. But you will not know any of this information unless you ask and unless you collect that information, and unless you go through it to make sure it is accurate, then analyze, then you can now go ahead and visualize and so on and so forth. All right. So you will now communicate your findings, and that will help you now to make informed decision on what to improve, what not to improve, what to adjust, what not to adjust, and so on and so forth. All right, so we'll be looking at a typical data lifecycle. So basically just part of what we've talked about, but there's a whole lot about data analysis that most people might not really know. So for example, we've mentioned data collection, all right, is where the data lifecycle starts. You gather raw data from different sources and different file or database from Surveyor or from whatever collecting means you want to collect your data. Then you have to process it by doing the data cleaning, preparation, removing errors, handling missing values, and standardizing the formats, making sure that the data is well labeled, the data is accurate, and every information is well represented. Then you now go to the data storage, organizing the data in a database or data warehouse for easy access. All right, making sure the data is secured. Remember, data is information, and information is private. And most organizations, they will have policies, that govern their data. They have what we call data policies that govern you as an analyst. So there are certain things you are not supposed to do. There's information you are not going to share. I'm sure most of us will be familiar with the war between Samsung and Apple, based on information that one stole A from A and one stole A from B. The reasons why that is happening is because somebody leaked information, and that information is the data. All right, so that is what led to some of those situations. So you could see how important it is and why it is always good to have a proper storage system. All right. Then before you now move to maybe the data analysis, applying different statistical method or techniques to be able to get pattern or find out more about the data that you have to gain insight about that information, to know what to do. All right. Then you now go into the visualizing process, understanding, okay, let me how to visualize this for non-technical stakeholders, someone that does not understand statistics, someone that doesn't understand the process you've applied to getting that information. You can now visualize it to show those information in a more appealing way. Like you try to tell a story, make a report, try to make it look appealing and interesting, whereby the person can look at it and be like, oh, okay, I can see this, I can see that, or understand. This shows that out of the sales we made, it shows that the desktop or the laptops sold shows that we've sold only 3 or sold only 4, and so far this is the effects on our sales, and this is the effects of this on our sales, and that you now put that in the visual formats to make sure that anybody, even someone that might have not gone to school, be able to see it and be like, this thing makes sense, even though I don't really understand, but I can see the arrow going up, I can see the arrow coming down, and etc. Then we now go into the decision-making process based on those findings, based on what you have analyzed, based on what you have visualized. You can now say, okay, let us try as much as possible and get our chairs to the right region. Let us see how to sell more chairs. All right, since we've not been making sales of chairs, let's see what we can do to improve that. All right, then you now go back and store those information for future use, because after analyzing, you just don't discard it. You store it so that you can now compare. Maybe after 6 months, you now say, okay, in January we did a review, we found this. In June or July, now let us see how we have gone so far. Are we improved? Are we going backwards? Are we, do we need to adjust something else? Is it in marketing? Is it in sales? Is it in production? Is it in adverts? Whichever, you can now come back and review. Because if you are done analyzing and you just threw it away, then you just threw away your work. All right, so it's always good to keep and review and go on and review, because that helps us to improve and get better. And that is where you now understand the data storage system, how to store certain information, how to keep them safe, and all that and all that. All right, next slide. All right, so we will also talking about some of the essential tools that we use as a data analyst. All right, so firstly, Excel is a Microsoft tool. All right, it's part of the Microsoft suite, which I'm sure most of us are familiar with. All right, it's just like Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint, which I'm using currently for this presentation. So Excel is also a tool within the Microsoft suite system. All right, so Excel comes in a spreadsheet format where you can contain our data within rows and columns, all right? And those rows and columns, we use that to, go through and analyze our data to see the information we have and how we can clean the information and create charts, use formulas to, simplify the data, and we can now create pivot tables and also create charts. Those visuals that you see with charts and graphs, we can also use Excel to do that. All right. We also look at Power BI. Power BI is also a Microsoft tool. It's a Microsoft Power Business Intelligence tool that we can also use to create reports and create dashboards. All right. And do in-depth analysis of our data. All right. It helps us to also store our data. All right. So Power BI is a very powerful tool. Most organizations use Power BI Business Intelligence tool. All right, for data visualization and report writing. Okay, so we also have SQL, Sequential Query Language System, is a database that helps us to store our data. It helps us to also do basic analysis on our data and help us to run queries to see more in-depth information on what's the data was stored within the database, how to analyze, how to visualize, and how to get more information, from that database without necessarily extracting all the data. So you can imagine when you have information of over 1 million students in a database and you want to maybe get information about a specific class, and maybe in that class you want to check information about maybe just 10 students. All right, so you can imagine how large that is, and if you want to be going through the data one at a time, so you could see that it's going to take you so much time. But with SQL, sequential query language, it is very, very easy for you to just write maybe one single line of information, and it will just go straight and then pop out the particular information you want, and reducing the time you spend trying to go through all the data and etc. All right, and also we have the Python. All right, we all know that Python is a coding language. All right, Python is an interface, is an IDE, is a coding language that is also used for data analysis and also creating data visualization. You can create charts, you can create graphs, just like you have in Excel and in Power BI, and you can also use that to store your data. Okay, you can also create a database system within the Python interface and help you to analyze your data. Just how to have Tableau as well, just like Power BI. Tableau is also used for data visualization and data analysis, all right, to help you to create in-depth analysis. All right, so Tableau is also used by most business organizations, and we have the Google Analytics. All right, the Google Analytics as well help us to manage our data information and create connection between our data and the different databases we have, and depending on the information, whether it's from a site of whether it's from a website or from maybe different, whatever source it is, you can always use the Google Analytics site management platform to also create that connection and helps you to extract your data and run your analysis within your database system. So we are going to usually, for the package we run, we take it from the beginners. We usually use Excel for starters because Excel is common and most organizations use Excel. So we run you through Excel, we run you through Power BI, we run you through SQL, and we run you through Python, all right, and so on and so forth. And if you understand the system, definitely every other system you'll be able to make use of them because the interfaces and application are all similar. All right, so career opportunities in data analysis, just like we've mentioned earlier, you have junior data analysts, or you want to work as, in fact, there is no way you will not be able to apply your skill, but you can always start as a junior data analyst and you can grow from there, all right, by learning Power BI. For starters, for you to use Power BI, definitely you should have a fundamental knowledge of Excel because they kind of work hand in hand. And we can now go into report analysis and performance analysis, go into market analysis or operation analysis, customer insights or data quality, whichever you realize that you fit into any sector. Because even as a junior data analyst, you already have knowledge of all these application. All right, so you can start from somewhere and you grow and grow and grow. So most times employees are looking for someone that is able to solve problem and someone that have a certain level of curiosity, all right? You should be able to be curious and ask questions, be able to find errors where others don't see it. You should be able to look at data differently and be able to understand that, oh, something is missing here. I noticed this thing looks clean and all that, but, to me, this thing doesn't sit well, and find out why. Have that curiosity and make sure your finding is for you trying to solve a problem and trying to improve. Always try to improve a process. Don't just leave the process as it is. All right. Have that niche for things to get better. All right. And telling stories already is a start. So being able to tell stories means you have a creative mind, and that helps a lot. All right. Now, Excel as a basics is also help for statistical analysis and for data cleaning and for data quality, then data visualization, dashboard design, then being able to communicate, making sure that even those that are not technical understands you, then attention to details and understanding the business environment. Okay, so if you are in the health sector, being able to understand the health sector, apply that knowledge in the health sector. If you are in the judiciary, apply that knowledge, understand the judiciary system, and so on and so forth. If you're in retail, in production, in marketing, you see that you can tailor the knowledge to your field regardless, all right? If you're in the financial sectors, bank use analysts regularly, even monitoring ATM system, monitoring daily transaction in the bank. There is a whole lot of fields where you can apply the knowledge in engineering, in drilling, in mining, in geography, in weather reports. There is nowhere you will not be able to apply that knowledge, but just start somewhere and grow from there. Okay. All right. So beginners learning roadmap, we are looking at Excel, Power BI, just like we've mentioned, and portfolio building after basically understanding the Python. So this is just a roadmap of what is expected. So profile project beginners can build. All right, so most people tend to wonder where they start from, or how do I go about. You can start with basic data. You can start with sales performance dashboard. Just get any sales data record and start from there. Build and grow yourself. You can get customer complaints data and build and grow from there. You have personal financial data, like I mentioned, even with the banking sector. You have charity impact and reports. You have website traffic, all right, and you have an attendance dashboard, maybe for school records and all that. So you have a whole lot of varieties of projects you can start with. So you can pick one area, you can work on all right, whichever way you want to do it, gain more insight and go from. So I would now go to my CEO. She will help us to walk us through the hands-on practical section of this training. So, madam, please.
Wow, that was a very wonderful training delivery. Thank you so much, GZ. So we've had a lot of chats and feedback. The cohorts are really enjoying the teaching, and it's amazing. Please, you can leave your feedback on the chat. There's a link there to leave a feedback for us online as well. Please do leave us a feedback, because the feedback helps us as a company to grow and for people to trust us the more. We have Wanne here who will just give us a bit of feedback. Wanne is one of our current students. So Wanne, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning, man. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, my name is Wanne. I stay
So
in the
while
UK.
Wanne is speaking, can we scan the QR code to get the Excel file for the hands-on exercise? So we're going to go into practical section. So while Wanne is speaking, please scan the QR code. I want us to get the data for the practical section, please. Thank you. Wanne, go ahead.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Can I be heard?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Okay, my name is Wanne. I stay in the UK. Since I joined Cosenj on this data analysis training, the fear of the word being a data analyst has just been eroded by this training. And of a fact, when I talk about data analysis now, people around me, they imagine if I've really been into this, in a long while, because Cosenj made everything very simple. It's not just on data analysis, on relationship. They make sure that you get. In fact, there was one day, one of my tutors was asking about what we did. So the way I was going about it, she wasn't very sure if I was very sure of what I'm saying. So she had to ask me to do it. So, putting me through it, when your tutor is now putting you through it, made my hands to be very strong on it. So everything about data analysis now is, for me, it's perfect with Cosenj. And like I said earlier, it's not just on data analysis, everything. Ask any question. No question is stupid. They will just take their time and put you through. So I enjoy everyone to, take a part on what they are telling us now. Try and scan this. You're going to enjoy the course and learn other things through. Sincerely, I have no regrets, being part of this training. I was once like, one day I joined this free data analysis, and that was how, my spirit just keyed into it. And now I am, in fact, I can tell everybody about Cosenj. I really enjoy taking this course with Cosenj. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Wanne, for reinforcing that. Cosenj have grown a lot. We have really, made a lot of great people in our society, in our world. We have students all over the world. We have students from Rwanda, Canada, UK, Nigeria, US, every part of the world, name them. And it has been amazing seeing that people have grown from just a beginner to advanced. Not just that, they are making us proud wherever they are. Anytime I see a Cosenj person making us proud, I'm always so excited. So I want to give you all the opportunity to be one of those that is making us proud in the world, in different companies, in businesses, around their vicinity. So yes, be one of those, and please let Cosenj be where that will happen for you. So I hope we have all scanned the QR code. I'm just going into the data now to make sure that we are all getting it correctly. So yes, I can see 5 persons in this data. If you need to scan the QR code, let me know. I can go back to the slide because we need everyone to be in this data. So if you're in this data, let me know. I have about 8 persons that have already joined. We are over almost 200 here. So scan the QR code to get into the data, please. So if you have joined the data set, please make a copy of your own data. You can go to File menu. So I'm in Excel right now. Where you are, go to File menu. You can go to create a copy, then download a copy. If you're using the online version, you can click on create a copy online. But if you're using Excel desktop, click on download a copy, please. So with this, everybody will have their own copy. You don't need to work on my own copy, yeah? So this one is the general copy. Make a copy from the general one. So as a data analyst, when you're given data to analyze, the first thing you must do is to ensure that you understand the data properly. And for you to understand the data, if you are giving this data like this, one of the things you need to do is to format your data. Data formatting, very important. So we're going to format this data to look better. For example, if you look at column B, it's called other date, but we can't even see all the dates. They are not appearing. And some of the information within the rows and column, we can't see them properly. So for us to even continue with analyzing this data, we need to ensure that this data is properly structured, properly formatted, and ready for us to understand what is inside of the data. Yeah. So one of the things we'll do is, for those that don't know what a column is, the column is the alphabetical side of this Excel. So this is Excel. The alphabet side is the column, or we can call it the vertical line. Then the numerical side, where you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, is the row, or we call it the horizontal line. So first, we need to highlight our entire data set. To highlight your data set, you click on column A and drag down to column Q. So how do you know you've clicked on column A? Once you click on the word A, your arrow will face downward, black. So the word A is your column A. So you make sure you're touching the word A. Once you touch that word A, you are clicking on a column. So you can double click on that word and drag down to the last column to highlight your entire data set, which is column Q. Have we all done that? Okay, good. If we have all done that, the next is for us to expand the column so that we can see every single information contained in the data set. So you can do that by, at the end of your column Q, just in between column Q and R, you will see this particular line here at the end of column Q. If you double click on it, it will automatically expand your data set, as simple as ABC. I'll do it again, don't worry. What this does is it helps you to analyze your data faster. During an interview, when you've passed a stage of selection process and you're asked to analyze data to continue, sometimes they might give you 1 hour to analyze the data before the interview, and you only have 1 hour to analyze your full data set based on what our tutor, David, have spoken about. So that 30 minutes or 1 hour is too short. So you need to find a mechanism or a way of doing a task very fast. And that is what I want to teach us today. So you quickly highlight your data set. So I will undo what I've done before. So first, we highlighted our data set up to column Q. Then secondly, we go down to the column Q and double click to expand our data set. So now, every information that we need or we need to see in each of the columns are now appearing. So for column B, instead of those hash signs, we can now see the dates clearly. And also every other columns that was a bit hidden has expanded to fit the real column width. Yeah. So if we have all done this, we can move forward. The second thing we're going to do to format our data set is to change the heading color, or we can transform it to a table. So to transform it to a table, we just click on column A2. A2 is this cell, A2. So a cell is a particular point between your column and the row. If you click on a particular cell, it will highlight the exact place you want to click on in your data. So now, if you click on A2, we're going to format our data by converting it into a table. So I'll just go to Insert and I'll click Table. Make sure that my table has headers is selected and click OK. So automatically to convert our data to a table. Now you can choose how you want your table to look like by clicking on a particular table design. There's a lot of them. So you can choose how you want your table to look. For me, I'm all right with it looking this way for the sake of everyone to see it clearly. Yeah. So now, did we understand how to turn our data to a table in order to format it properly to a table? Was it clear? Yes. So we now have our table formatted. Our data is ready for analysis. So one of the things that is very useful in your data is that it should have these drop-down filters. The drop-down filters allows us to understand our data a little bit better, which you can use. So if your data is like 1 million rows, you'll find out that it will be difficult for you to scroll down and be checking on the data manually. To check your data, you just use the filter or the drop-down menu to check your data. So if I click on other dates, I can see that we have dates within 2026. And in that 2026 year, our data ranges from January to June. Very easy. I've understood this data now, that the data I'm about to analyze is a 2026 data with months from January to June. If you don't have that filter, for you to really understand the data set you're working with, it's going to be a bit tricky. But with the filter applied in each column, you understand your data now. So you can also understand the year, the month. You can also understand the products you are working with. We can see the products we are working with. We can also see the category of each of the products, which are accessories and computers and all of that. And we can also see the region that we are working with. We can also see the sales channel where people are buying the product from. So if you look at the data, you will find out all this information per column. If we also scroll down, we can also see that some columns are missing some information, like the gross sales. There's no information in the gross sales. There is no information in the sales amount. We still need to calculate the total cost. We also need to calculate the profit and the profit margin. So these are the things that we are being asked to do as an exercise. So are we ready to go through them one after the other? Within this data, you can also check, do I have other missing values? You can highlight all of that. Is there any duplicate? You can highlight all of that. So one of the things we're going to do is that we're going to be calculating our gross sales. Can one person tell me how to calculate this gross sales, please? What do we need to do to get our sales, our total sales or gross sales?
I think quantity times unit price. Huh?
Thank you. So that is it. So our gross sales is our quantity times unit price. So to do that in Excel, we're going to be using this technique called row-based calculation. We have different types of calculation. When you enroll fully with Cosenge, we'll teach you more about that. But we're going to be using the row-based calculation. Anytime you want to calculate or perform calculations within Excel, the first thing you must do is to type your equal to sign. So on column L2, can we all type equal to sign there? The first thing you must do is to type an equal to sign. Once you type an equal to sign, Excel will automatically understand I'm about to write a formula. Yeah. So now we will click on the quantity, and on our keyboard, we'll just type our times and then click on the unit price and hit enter on our keyboard. It will automatically calculate our gross sales. As simple as that. Also, is to type your equal to sign. I presume everyone has typed their equal to sign, but if you haven't, please type equal to sign on L2. So once you've typed your equal to sign, we are going to calculate quantity times price, but we don't type it. We just click quantity, which is I2 times on your keyboard J2. Have we all done that? So once you do that, you hit enter on your keyboard. You don't need to do anything else. So we are teaching you an easy way to perform calculations and achieve the best result ever. You hit enter. So because we already formatted this to a table, it automatically fill down the rest of the results. You don't need to do anything else. So we now have our gross sales calculated. Was that clear now, guys? Good.
Yes.
So next, we are asked to calculate our sales amount. So who will tell me the sales amount? What are we going to calculate there? Or what matrix are we going to use for sales amount? Yeah.
Please, can you define sales amount?
So sales amount is the total sales minus the discount. So you know how, okay, I shouldn't have given you the formula, but I will give you an example. You know how you go to no Cosenj, our training is £1,200, but we have offered a discount, right? And the students are only paying £380. So we have applied a discount to that particular training. Yeah. So the remaining is the sales amount. So that is actually the price we have sold the course to the student, but the original price was £1,200. Does that make sense now?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So now, to just make it faster for us, again, we need to put our equal to sign. So the sales amount will be the cost, the original cost of the price minus the discount. Does that make sense? So our gross sales, which should be equal to what? Our gross sales, yes, times in bracket 1 minus our discount. The one there is 100% minus our discount. So that will give us the sales amount. The sales amount is gross sales minus times the discount, yeah, which is 1 minus discount. Does that make sense? So that would be L2 times 1 minus K2. When you hit enter, it automatically calculate it for us. Close the bracket at the end, please. Does that make sense? So for example, if you look at the result, you see that the first one, the gross sales is £594. There was no discount. The discount is 0%. So the sales amount is still the gross sales, right? But this one, there was a 10% discount out of the £329 that would have been the original sales price. But because of the discount, it was now sold at how much? £296. So during our calculation or during our analysis, we are going to be focusing on the sales amount rather than the gross sales, because sometimes discount has already been applied. Was that clear?
Please, it's putting value on the sales
For you,
amount.
for
Yes.
you, at your own end.
Yes.
Okay. So ensure that, first of all, you use this metric L2 times, open a bracket, 1 minus your discount. This is K2, and then close the bracket again. So there is a bracket opening after the times and the bracket close. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Do you want us to calculate it again, or is everybody clear? Clear. Good. So next one is the total cost. Who can tell us what the total cost will be? The total cost is just like when we calculated the gross sales. What will be the total cost? So the total cost is usually, what it costs the business before they put the price. When you go to buy something, maybe you are into business and you go to a market to buy stuff, and you sell, say, food stuff. When you went there, you bought that item for £10 or 10 naira or 10, put any currency, and then you remember you need to make profit. So you now want to sell that item for maybe £15. That is your unit price, but the cost is that amount you bought it. Does that make sense? So for us to calculate the cost price or the total cost, we put our equal to sign again, then the unit cost times our quantity. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah? Say yes. Let me know that we are following.
Yes.
Yes, ma. Yes, ma. Yes, ma. Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, of-
Excellent. I'm happy to hear that. So now we are also asked to calculate our profit. Please, what is our profit? I want somebody else to contribute. What will be the profit? What will be the profit? Does anybody have an idea?
It should be
Put our equal
sales.
to- Yes,
minus
go ahead.
total,
Again.
sales amount minus total cost.
Excellent. Thank you so much for contributing. So actually, that is 100% correct. So our profit is how much we sold that item minus how much it cost you. It cost you £10 to buy it. You now sell it at £15. So you have made a profit of £5. So that is what it is. Put your equal to sign. Then our sales amount minus our total cost will give us our profit. Good. We are making progress, isn't it? So the next and the last one is that we are asked to calculate our profit margin. Who can explain what a profit margin is? If you don't know, it's in our dictionary. Inside the data you have, I've explained everything here. Our profit, look at what it says there. Profit is a percentage of sales. So even when you're practicing in your own spare time, I've made it easy for you to navigate through when you're practicing. Does that make sense? All the formulas are in the data dictionary that we just looked at here, and explanation of each of them to help you in your practice time. So the last one is a profit margin. So what is the formula for the profit margin? Any ideas? It's very easy. So it will be what? Our profit divided by the sales amount. Does that make sense? So we'll put our equal to sign again. Then you click on your profit, P2, then click divide on your keyboard. Then you now click on your sales amount and hit enter. So it will calculate our profit margin for us. Does that make sense? Now I'm going to come back to this meeting to know who has finished every single thing that we've talked about. I was able to finish up the analysis. Let me see your hand up. We are going into Power BI very soon. I was able to finish the analysis. Hands up. Good. Who else? Excellent. Adia, Stella, Delight. Wow, 6 persons. Is it only 6 persons? Any other person? I was able to complete. Thank you. Great. Excellent. You can bring down your hands now. So going back there. If you think the lesson was very straightforward and easy, let me see your hand up. Great. Any other person? Was it straightforward, easy to understand? Good, 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 good. Excellent. I love that. Excellent. Good, good, good. So this is our Power BI environment. Now, you can see blank report, which is where you need to go first. Once you open your Power BI, you click on blank report. So when you click on blank report, it will bring you into your Power BI environment. And this is it. In here, you can click on get data to bring in data into Power BI. And with Power BI, you can get data from multiple sources. What is Power BI in the first place? Power BI means Power Business Intelligence. So it is an intelligent tool that we use in our different companies or different organizations to create reports or analysis that help businesses make informed decisions. So Power BI is very interactive. It helps teams collaborate, especially if you're using the Power BI online version. So we have three components of Power BI. We have Power BI desktop version, which is the one we've all downloaded now. We have Power BI online service. So for those that have Mac or any other systems that doesn't use Windows, can use Power BI online service. The Power BI online service is mostly for companies, for businesses, for organizations. They use it to collaborate in the online version, right? So for you to use Power BI online version, you will need to have a company email or organizational email for you to use that. We also have Power BI mobile. You can actually download Power BI for your mobile phone so that when you create a report, you can monitor attendance or performance on the go using your mobile phone. So the device you're going to learn is how to load data into Power BI. How do you load data into Power BI, right? So to do that, to load data into Power BI, we'll go to Get Data. Under the home menu, go to Get Data. Now, you can get data into Power BI from countless sources, different and multiple sources at the same time. So the data that you just analyzed now, if it's in Excel format, you click Excel workbook. If the data is in CSV format, you click CSV format. So any other format, you click on that format. But to load data into Power BI is the same approach. So we'll click on Excel workbook. Are we following?
Yes.
Yes, ma, we are following.
Excellent. Then when you click on Excel workbook, now we click on browse. If your own interface is looking a bit different from mine, don't worry. It's the same thing. When you click on that Excel workbook, yours might take you straight to the where you get your data like this, which is good. But mine just takes me to browse first. So now we're going to get the data that we just analyzed in Excel. We were able to perform some calculations within Excel, and that data is what we are bringing into Power BI. And that is my own here. So you click on browse, go to wherever the data is, and then click on open. Was that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Click on open. Then it will bring us into our navigation panel where you now choose the actual data you want to analyze in Power BI. So for us, is this one. We had a lot of data. It's table 2. So for me, it will be table 2. So yes, so you click on load. So remember, we are learning how to load data into Power BI. You identify the data. For us, we're not using all the data sets because these ones are just the practice data dictionary I talked about. We just need the one we converted into table, and that is table 2. So once you've clicked on it, make sure that the green icon is selected. That is how you know you have clicked on it. If you don't click on it, it will not load. So you make sure you are selecting on the green icon on the cube there, and it has turned to green and it's marked, ticked with a good sign. Once it's done, you click on load. Have everybody done that?
Yes.
No, I just joined now.
Okay, you've done that. Good. So everybody have clicked on their own tab and is selected. So once you do that, you click on load. Then we allow the data to load into Power BI. So that is how you load data into Power BI. As simple as that. Any questions so far? So once the data is loaded, we now understand where is the data. You can see in Power BI, on my right-hand side, the far left-hand side, you see this word data. So that is our data area. This is where all the data is stored. And whenever you load your data into Power BI, it will close the navigation panel, but inside this arrow here lies all the columns that we've just talked about. So make sure that you click on this triangular arrow, open it up to see all of your data, all of your columns containing the data. So you can see the category, the sales, the unit price, every column that we identified in Excel has been, made to look very, very structured within Power BI. Is that clear? Can everybody confirm they can now see all their columns within Power BI? Good. So we'll start the dashboard creation. We're asked to create a dashboard, and the questions are here in Power BI. We'll do few, then when you get home, you can look at the rest. So let's look at what they have told us to analyze. So if you look at the practice question, they said, what are the total sales, total cost, and total profit? That is the first question. And whenever you answer any question, you mark it off. So we'll be marking off any question we answer, we mark it off. So the first question is, what are the total sales, total cost, and total profit? So we now go to Power BI to answer that question. That's question one. So in Power BI, there's an area called visualizations. Can we see visualization at the top, everybody? So in the visualization, there are different visuals we can use. So many of them. We have bar charts, column charts, line charts, pie charts, scorecards, name them. We're going to be putting our hands on each and every one of them, time permitting us. So one of the things we are looking at is our total sales. They say we calculate total sales. So we'll get our visual. Then we'll come here. Our total sales was the sales amount. Remember, right? There's the actual total sales. So we'll put it in there in the value. So just pick that total sales and put in the value area. We're picking information from the data area and putting it into our fields. So all these places are the fields. You just pick, double click, you drag it into the fields. So we'll be doing that. So I have my total sales. So we're using this multi-card because it can take a lot of information. We are also asked to calculate our total cost. Good. Total cost. So we'll come here, total cost. Put it there. You see, it's showing us total cost as well. We are also asked to calculate the last one, total profit. So we'll go to profit and put it there. So you see how it is easy to show information within Power BI. So now we have our total sales, total cost, and total profit. We can rename it to whatever they want it. So the first one, instead of answering sum of sales amount, we now come into the values here, double click on it to rename it. The first one will be what? Total sales. hit enter, because that is what they say we should show. The second one currently is called sum of total cost. You can remove the sum at the front and call it just total cost. You can also leave the pound sign, very important. So let's make it to be in uniform by adding a pound sign in front. The last one, they say we should calculate our total profit. So we can double click on the sum of total profit here and then rename it as well. So total profit. Was that clear?
Yeah.
Good. So now we've calculated our total sales, total cost, and total profit. Question 1 answered. So we'll go back to the question sheet. They asked us which product generated the highest sales. That is the next question they've asked us. Which product generated the highest sales? So now we come here. We have our product column here. So we're going to use our column chart. You can use a bar chart as well. If you want to use a bar chart, use bar chart or column chart. So we're going to use column chart. So now to pick another visual, make sure you are clicking on the background. So this is our background area. Every white area here is our background. So I have finished analyzing the first, I've concluded with the first answers. To pick on another visual, I'll click on the background, then click on another visual. You see what I've done now. That's how you select a new visual, so that you don't override what you have done. To select a new visual, click on the background or an empty area, go to your visualization, choose the visual you want. So once you choose it, ensure that it is highlighted to perform the next analysis. So we are asked to show which product generated the highest was sales. So it's very simple. In Power BI, the first field is usually for non-numerical data. The second field is usually for numerical data. The name might change, but just know that anything you're putting inside this first field here should be a non-numerical data. Anything you're putting in the second field here is a numerical data. Did we understand that? So with that, we'll move. So now let's put a product, put it in the non-numerical field, and then our sales amount in the numerical field. Automatically, it will show us which product generated the higher sales. If you are not even a data analyst and they ask you now which product generated the higher sales, what would you say? Automatically, it's showing us the particular product without mixing words. Yeah? If you were clear, let me know. If you want me to repeat anything, also let me know. So for us to show another visualization or another analysis, we'll click on the background again and then select the visual we want to use. This time around, I'll use a bar chart. What were we asked to show? They asked us which product generated the highest profit. So we're asked to show which product generated the highest profit. Again, we're going to show profit, product, and profit. So we can see again that it was gaming laptop that generated the highest what? Profit. Does that make sense? If we want to show it in the same visual, we can still show it. So for example, if you want to go high level, instead of showing this in two visuals, we can actually show the sales amount and the profit all in one place by just dragging it down. So we can see this particular product generated highest profit and also generated highest sales. So you can show it in one visual on a separate visual. But if you want to show a lot of visuals, I'll prefer we show it in one visual like that. So we'll use this one for another information. So this particular visual is showing which product has the highest sales and also the highest profit. You can see it at the top. So let's look at the next question they asked. So we boxed off question 1, question 2, and question 3, and we can mark it as green. We've answered this question. The next one is which region performed best? Which region performed best? So let's go back to our Power BI. Which region performed best? We'll just come here and pick our region into our first axis, and then we can look at the profit margin, because they are talking about which region performed best. We can use the profit margin to check. So based on our insight, we can see that Scotland and London are in the highest category. Does that make sense? Yes. So they also asked us another question. We'll mark this one off. How did sales change from January to June? So how did sales change from January to June? So they're asking us about the monthly trend. For question 5, they're asking us about the monthly trend. So we'll go back to Power BI. Is everybody following?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So we're going to pick a line chart now. Again, click on the background area, pick a line chart, and we're going to go to our month start, because they say how did the sales change from month to month. So we'll pick our date. We don't need the year, we don't need the quarter, we only need the month and the sales amount in the second axis, so that we can see how the sales change from month to month. So we can see that from January, going to align it at the top. From January to June, the sales change is there. We can see that March recorded the highest sales amount, followed by June. But there was a dip between April and May. You see how to interpret such? Very easy. Then let's see if we can answer the next question. Have we all done this one? Response, please.
Let's go ahead.
Have we shown the sales amount by month?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we'll move to the next. So we'll mark this one off. Number 5 is done. Then they're asking us which sales channel generated the most revenue. So we'll go back to our Power BI. They're asking us which sales channel generated the most revenue. So who can tell us what data point we are supposed to use? Which sales channel? So we'll go to sales channel, put in our first axis or first field. Then we go to our revenue, the total revenue to cost, margin, gross sales. So these are gross sales. So we put it in our second axis, so we know which particular sales channel generated the highest revenue. Is it the sales that was done online or in-store or corporate sales? So we can see that. Does that make sense? Sum of gross sales.
Yes.
Good.
Online.
Yeah, online. Very easy. It's easy. I love Power BI. It just shows you everything. See, why we had this data in a very large format, we couldn't be able to make up anything from this data. That is the power of being a data analyst. See, this data is too voluminous. You can't really tell what is happening. But just by using Power BI, in less than 15 minutes, we are already understanding what information our data holds, isn't it? So it is very, very powerful tool to use. Then the next one, they asked us to show, we are done with the revenue, mark it off. Which category has the highest profit margin? So we can still show that category has the highest profit margin. So we'll go back to Power BI and show that with our column chart or bar chart category. Bar chart, profit margin. Profit margin is here. Yeah, put it in the second axis. Was that clear? So let's continue. Have you all gotten that?
Yes.
You can rearrange your dashboard to look better. They ask so many questions. Then the last, for my answer now, I want us to have a few minutes for questions. The last question we're going to answer, mark this one off. What is the average order value? What is the average order value? So from our dashboard again, we can put here our average order. So we have our order date, quantity ordered. Do we have quantity? Yes. So we have our quantity ordered. So we can put our quantity ordered here, but they don't want the sum of quantity, or they just want the average. So since we have our sum, to convert this to average, we can click on the drop down. In the drop down option, inside the fields here, there are so many calculations you can perform within Power BI. And you have your sum, average, minimum, maximum, count, standard deviation, a lot of them. But they just want us to show them the average order value. So we can just change it to average. So you can rename this to what? Average order value. That's it. So we now have our average order value. If you didn't understand it, let me know so I can redo it. But that is how to perform average calculation within Power BI. Was it clear? I should repeat the average.
This can go over.
So we have, okay, yeah. So we have the sum of order value. Quantity ordered is the order value. So, but now they want us to show how many average, on average, how many quantity was ordered, yeah, on average. So, we said, put your quantity inside the value or the fields. It will show you sum. Just the way we're putting other ones, it will always automatically go to sum. But we are not looking at sum, we are looking at average. So on the drop down, you can see each of these has a drop down. On the drop down, click on it. Once you click on it, it will show you other calculations you can perform within Power BI. And those calculations are listed here like average, median, standard deviation. So, but we are asked to calculate average. Just click on average. Was that clear?
Yes.
Okay. So you click on average and you get your average order value. You can double click on it to rename it average order. Enter. So that's it. Now, the last thing we're going to do is to rename our dashboard to have a good name, or the actual information that somebody sees on the dashboard, they will know this is what the dashboard is talking about. So we're going to use a text box under the home menu. We'll use a text box to title our dashboard. We're going to call it sales dashboard. This is our sales dashboard. And we can make it bigger by highlighting it and changing the size. Can make it bold. Change it to 28. You make it smaller, then drag it up at the top. You can also change the background color if you want by going to Effect and changing the background color to any color that suits you. But make sure that your background color is suiting the text color as well, so that they're not looking a bit different. Just going to make this to the center, and that is my sales dashboard. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions so far? So now this is how to make a dashboard. We can also change the background color. Want to change the background color? Make sure you're clicking on the background again. We're going to go to format your visual. Go to canvas background. You can choose any background color of your choice and change the transparency to 0. That will give you a background color. And the background color helps you to rearrange your visuals in a better way, so that every visual aligns properly. So before now, we didn't even know that some of them are not in line. But once you add your background color, it will help you to rearrange your visuals in a nice and structured way like this. We can also make this one a bit smaller and bring it to the middle, and this one a bit closer to this one. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. I want to be hearing some responses.
Yes, it's clear.
All right. So make sure that
Yes,
the background color you're choosing.
I have a question, ma'am.
Okay. It's a question time anyways. Make sure the background color you're choosing matches your report, please. So it's not too shouty or too dark. Very important. We have 5 minutes to answer our questions. I'll go back to my slide. Any question?
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, and my name is Ibrahim Idris. Thank you very much for the good presentation. So my question is, when analyzing the total sell amount by month, I see you use the line chart. Is it necessary for us to use the line chart, or we can also use bar chart or another diagram instead? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that question. So anything that has to do with historical trends, where you have to use dates or month or day, it's recommended to use a line chart, because the line chart will show the trends and patterns. Does that make sense? So we use line chart for representation that has to do with dates, because it will show you whether there was a drop. So if I go back to this dashboard, you should use the line chart is because the line chart helps us to see the trends and patterns within our data. So for example, one of the trends we see is that March has the highest. But if I show this, for example, in a column chart, you see the difference. It's not showing us that deep, the curve. It's not showing us the trend that we need to see. So for anything that has to do with historical data, that has to do with date, time series, please use a line chart because it helps us to understand what really happened, what went wrong, where did it go wrong. You can see there was a drop, and after it, March started picking up. After the March, it dropped again significantly in April and May, and then started picking up again in June. So the line chart helps us to tell that story this way. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Now, just to add to that, as a data analyst, it's important to know which chart you can use for which particular analysis. And these are the things that we teach when you take up the full training course. We'll teach you the exact type of chart to use for different type of analysis because not all of them are usually very suitable. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
All right.